The Aztec Empire's epic tale of glory and downfall remains one of history's most fascinating and relevant stories. Its rapid ascent and catastrophic collapse hold timeless lessons for modern societies. In the heart of Mesoamerica, a mighty civilization rose and fell, leaving behind a legacy that still echoes through the ages. In the lush valleys and majestic mountain ranges of Mesoamerica, where the sun dipped into the horizon and painted the sky with hues of crimson and gold, a complex tapestry of cultures had been weaving for centuries. It was here, in this vibrant and diverse region, that the seeds of the Aztec Empire were sown. To understand the rise of the Aztecs, we must first delve into the world of their ancestors, the Mexica people. These nomadic hunter-gatherers had migrated to the region from the north, driven by a combination of factors including climate change, warfare, and the search for new resources. They brought with them their own distinct culture, language, and traditions which would eventually blend with those of the existing populations to form a unique and powerful identity. The Valley of Mexico, where the Aztecs would eventually establish their capital city, was already home to several advanced civilizations, including the Toltecs and the Tepanecs. These cultures had developed sophisticated systems of governance, architecture, and agriculture, which would later influence the Aztecs' own development. The valley's fertile soil, abundant water supply, and strategic location made it an attractive place for settlers, and it was here that the Mexica people would eventually put down roots. As we explore the early history of the Aztecs, we find ourselves in the midst of a dynamic and often tumultuous landscape. The region was characterized by frequent migrations, alliances, and conflicts between different groups, each vying for power and resources. It was amidst this backdrop of competition and cooperation that the Aztecs began to forge their own distinct path. One of the key factors that contributed to the Aztecs' success was their ability to adapt and learn from other cultures. They were skilled traders and diplomats, able to navigate the complex web of alliances and rivalries that existed between different city-states and kingdoms. This talent for diplomacy would serve them well in the years to come, as they expanded their territory and established themselves as a major force in Mesoamerica. The Aztecs' early history is also marked by a series of migrations and settlements as they searched for a place to call their own. According to legend, the Mexica people were guided by a prophecy that promised them a new home, where they would find an eagle perched on a cactus, devouring a serpent. This mythological event would eventually lead them to the site of modern-day Mexico City, where they would establish their capital city, Tenochtitlan. As we follow the Aztecs on their journey, we find ourselves at the shores of Lake Texcoco, a vast and fertile body of water that dominated the landscape. The lake was home to numerous settlements and city-states, each with its own unique culture and traditions. It was here, amidst the bustling markets and vibrant cultural scene, that the Aztecs would begin to build their new home. The year was 1325 AD, and the Aztecs had finally found a place to settle. They established themselves on a small island in Lake Texcoco, where they began to construct their new city. The site was inhospitable, with murky waters and treacherous terrain, but the Aztecs were undeterred. Using their advanced engineering skills, they built a series of canals, dikes, and aqueducts, which would eventually transform the island into a thriving metropolis. As Tenochtitlan began to take shape, the Aztecs set about creating a complex system of governance, which would allow them to manage their growing population and expanding territory. They established a powerful and efficient bureaucracy with a strong emphasis on social hierarchy and ritual obligations. This system would serve as the foundation for their future success, enabling them to mobilize vast resources and manpower in pursuit of their ambitions. As the Aztec bureaucracy took shape, the city's infrastructure began to reflect its growing importance. The construction of grand temples, palaces, and marketplaces transformed Tenochtitlan into a thriving metropolis, with a population that would eventually exceed 200,000 inhabitants. At the heart of the city stood the Templo Mayor, a magnificent temple dedicated to the worship of Huitzilopochtli, the Aztecs' patron deity, and Tlaloc, the god of rain. This grand structure, with its twin pyramids and intricate stone carvings, served as a symbol of Aztec power and a center of ritual activity. The Aztec system of governance, known as the Triple Alliance, was characterized by a complex network of alliances and tribute relationships between city-states. At its core were three powerful cities: Tenochtitlan, Texcoco, and Tlacopan. Each city maintained its own autonomy while contributing to the overall strength and stability of the alliance. This system allowed the Aztecs to expand their territory through a combination of military conquest, strategic alliances, and clever diplomacy. One of the key figures in the early expansion of the Aztec Empire was Itzcoatl, who ruled as the fourth Tlatoani, or emperor, from 1428 to 1440. During his reign, Itzcoatl oversaw a series of successful military campaigns, which extended Aztec control over much of the Valley of Mexico. He also implemented a number of important reforms, including the creation of a standardized system of writing and the development of a more efficient tribute system. This allowed the Aztecs to better manage their growing empire and extract resources from their subject cities. As the Aztecs expanded their territory, they encountered a diverse range of cultures and city-states, each with its own unique traditions and customs. One of the most significant of these encounters was with the city-state of Tlaxcala, which would eventually become a key ally and trading partner. The Tlaxcalans were a fiercely independent people, known for their military prowess and their skill in crafting intricate textiles and pottery. Despite initial hostilities, the Aztecs and Tlaxcalans eventually formed a mutually beneficial alliance, with the Tlaxcalans providing the Aztecs with valuable trade goods and military support. The Aztecs' expansion also led to increased contact with other powerful city-states, such as the Tepanecs and the Cholulans. These interactions often involve complex diplomatic maneuverings, as the Aztecs sought to balance their own interests with those of their allies and rivals. In 1463, for example, the Aztecs formed an alliance with the Cholulans to attack the city-state of Xochimilco, which had long been a thorn in the side of the Aztec Empire. This campaign was successful, and Xochimilco was incorporated into the Aztec Empire as a subject city. As the Aztecs continued to expand their territory, they faced numerous challenges, including resistance from hostile city-states, disease, and environmental degradation. Despite these obstacles, the Aztec Empire continued to grow in strength and sophistication, with a complex system of governance, a thriving economy, and a rich cultural heritage. The reign of Itzcoatl's successor, Moctezuma I, marked a new era of Aztec expansion and consolidation. Moctezuma, who ruled from 1440 to 1469, oversaw a series of successful military campaigns, which extended Aztec control over much of southern Mexico. As the Aztecs continued to expand their territory, they encountered new challenges and opportunities. The city-state of Oaxaca, with its rich traditions of weaving and pottery, became an important center of trade and cultural exchange. The Aztecs also established trade relationships with other city-states, such as the Mixtecs and the Zapotecs, which provided them with access to valuable resources, including cacao, cotton, and precious stones. The Aztecs' expansion also led to increased contact with other powerful empires, such as the Mayans and the Toltecs. The city-state of Toluca, with its rich traditions of metallurgy and textiles, became an important center of trade and cultural exchange. As Axayácatl's successor, Tizoc, ruled from 1481 to 1486, he faced significant challenges in maintaining the empire's stability and expansion. One of his primary concerns was the growing threat from the neighboring kingdom of Tlaxcala, which had long been a thorn in the side of the Aztecs. In an attempt to appease the Tlaxcalans and secure their loyalty, Tizoc offered them generous trade agreements and territorial concessions. However, this strategy ultimately backfired, as the Tlaxcalans saw the Aztecs' weakness and began to secretly forge alliances with other city-states to counterbalance Aztec power. Meanwhile, the Aztecs continued to expand their empire through military campaigns, conquering the city-state of Coixtlahuacan in 1483. This victory brought significant wealth and resources to the Aztecs, including a large quantity of cacao, which was used as currency throughout Mesoamerica. The conquest also led to the incorporation of Coixtlahuacan's skilled artisans and craftsmen into the Aztec Empire, further enriching the capital city of Tenochtitlan. In 1486, Tizoc died under mysterious circumstances, and his brother, Ahuitzotl, succeeded him as the new ruler of the Aztecs. Ahuitzotl, who ruled from 1486 to 1502, proved to be a shrewd and ambitious leader, determined to expand the empire's borders and secure its position as the dominant power in Mesoamerica. He launched a series of successful military campaigns, conquering the city-states of Xochimilco, Coyoacán, and Tlatelolco, among others. One of Ahuitzotl's most significant achievements was the construction of a new aqueduct system, which brought fresh water from the nearby mountains to the capital city of Tenochtitlan. This ambitious project, completed in 1499, not only improved the health and living conditions of the city's inhabitants, but also facilitated the growth of the city's population and economy. As the Aztec Empire continued to expand, it attracted the attention of European explorers, who had been making landfall on the eastern coast of Mesoamerica since the late 15th century. In 1517, a Spanish expedition led by Francisco Hernández de Córdoba arrived on the coast of Yucatan, marking the beginning of a new era of contact between the Aztecs and the Europeans. The initial encounters between the Aztecs and the Spanish were marked by a mixture of curiosity and hostility. The Aztecs, who had never seen Europeans before, were fascinated by their strange clothing, language, and customs. However, they also viewed the Spanish as potential threats to their power and security. In 1519, the Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés arrived in Tenochtitlan with a small army of soldiers seeking to ally himself with the Aztecs and gain access to their rich resources. The Aztec ruler, Moctezuma II, who had succeeded Ahuitzotl in 1502, was initially welcoming to Cortés and his men. However, as the Spanish began to exert their influence over the city and its inhabitants, tensions rose, and the relationship between the Aztecs and the Spanish deteriorated rapidly. In 1520, the Spanish massacred a group of Aztec nobles during a ceremony, sparking widespread outrage and rebellion throughout the city. The ensuing conflict, known as the Siege of Tenochtitlan, lasted for over a year, with the Spanish and their indigenous allies besieging the city from all sides. The Aztecs, led by Moctezuma's successor, Cuauhtémoc, fought valiantly, but they were ultimately no match for the superior firepower and military tactics of the Spanish. On August 13, 1521, the Spanish captured the city of Tenochtitlan, marking the fall of the Aztec Empire. The once great capital city was left in ruins, its inhabitants either killed or forced to flee. Cuauhtémoc, who had been taken prisoner by the Spanish, was later executed for his role in the rebellion. The conquest of the Aztec Empire marked the beginning of a new era of Spanish rule in Mesoamerica, with the establishment of the Viceroyalty of New Spain and the imposition of European customs, language, and culture on the indigenous population. The legacy of the Aztecs, however, continued to endure, with their rich cultural heritage, including their art, architecture, and mythology, remaining an integral part of Mexican identity to this day. The Aztecs' achievements in architecture, astronomy, and art continue to inspire awe, while their conquest by the Spanish serves as a poignant reminder of the devastating consequences of colonialism and the importance of preserving cultural heritage. Thank you for joining me throughout this historical journey. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, remember that, to understand the present, we must first understand the past.